What's that? Is that another trophy for Tottenham Hotspur? I mean, to be fair, we did know that it was always going to happen. When we knew we were playing Arsenal, a trophy was on the line. We knew that the Herbolgi trophy was always going to be ours. And Tottenham Hotspur have won the first North London derby this season. Yes, it's pre-season. Yes, it's meaningless, but it's still always nice to win it. And to win it in the way that we did as well, with some of the signs that we saw there, the defensive structure that I'm going to dive a little bit deeper into in this video, some of the individual performances, Pat Matasar, Wilson Odobert, Mohamed Kudus out wide, Jed Spence at fullback. I thought there were some excellent signs there, and I kind of feel like there's been a lot of negativity. There's been a lot of sort of worry towards some of our transfer business and towards Thomas Frank, towards the squad. I think that should all make us just take a little bit of a breath to go, we do have some quality in this squad. Thomas Frank is going to really profile those players in the correct way and platform them to show a lot more than some of them showed last season, for example, as you saw today, I think, and it's going to be okay. We are okay. We're moving in the transfer market. There's been a few little rumours flying about this afternoon as well with João Palhinha and Kolo Muani, but let's get into this game because I know it's only pre-season, you don't want to read into it too much, but this game genuinely did excite me quite a lot and has made me a lot more reassured and a lot more positive heading forward into pre-season and going into the actual season now. So let's get into it. But another trophy. Now, the first thing that I wanted to talk about was our defensive structure, because I think that was the thing that pleased me most today. It's something that obviously, I mean, we were embarrassing last season. We really were at times in the league, with how we defended transitions, with how we defended our own box. It was almost non-existent in certain games. I know, we had hammerings. I remember the one away to Wolves was particularly bad and we lost 4-2, for example. And today, sitting in that 4-2-3-1 shape with Lucas Bergvall pushing on sometimes, Pat Matasar pushing on sometimes, but sat in that mid-block, choosing our moments when to press, defending our box really, really well. Jed Spence out wide, Pedro Porro out wide, standing up their wingers really nicely, defending our areas, players winning their 1v1 battles, winning those duels all over the pitch and just looking a lot more secure and a lot more confident in what they were doing and their positioning and where they were supposed to be at any given time and, not looking around them and having 20, 30 yards of space to defend on their own around them. It was really satisfying to see and really, really nice to see, and it kind of gave me this sense of security that when we had the ball in their half, I wasn't shitting. I wasn't really worried that we were all of a sudden going to give the ball away and be really exposed to a dangerous transition with Saka or Martinelli or whoever running the other way. And it kind of gave me this sense of security that, okay, we got the ball in Arsenal's final third here. We're attacking, but I'm not worried about what's going on behind me. I'm just excited about the attack, and I'm, get Odobert the ball, get Kudus the ball, get Bergvall the ball, whatever. And it was exciting and it was good to see, and it was nice to know as well that sort of that has been something that's obviously going to be hugely focused on. It was our biggest weakness last season, always something that was going to be the most noticeable improvement with us. I also thought that when we were dropping slightly deeper in and around these areas, when Arsenal had the ball sort of going into our final third, you had runners, running off the midfielders. I thought Bentancur, Sarr, Bergvall were tracking their men really well, not allowing them space in and around these key areas. Jed Spence, the way that he was standing up, Bukayo Saka, Havertz when he drifted out there, Ben White as well, was super impressive. Our wingers were working really hard to make it not 2v1 situations against the fullback, but 2v2 and to double up and to make sure that Jed Spence and Pedro Porro are both protected. Mickey van de Ven and Romero, I thought they found it very comfortable today, dealing with him whatever Havertz or Gyökeres when he came on, or Saka when he drifted inside, Martinelli when he drifted inside. Whatever they threw at those two, they dealt with super comfortably. The box defending was excellent. The set piece defending was excellent, and that is the platform now. That's the platform to go and kick on, to have a lot more security, but to also, still be a threat. We really did choose our moments as well. There were this was the set pieces that I'm going to talk about in a sec, but there were moments as well, just a brief example of when we did push hard up the pitch. Richarlison would go and put pressure on David Raya. We'd go and make them force it to go long, and Romero and Van de Ven would sweep it up, and we'd win that second ball and reset and have a bit of possession for a while and push into Arsenal's final third. It was really nice to see that variety. Really nice to see that we weren't sitting in a low block, camping inside our own half and really, really struggling to get out and to actually launch any attacks. Like, for example, we were doing. I know, it was brilliant. Never going to criticise this tournament ever or what Ange did in it, but it felt like at times when we were defending a bit deeper in the Europa League last season, we were losing our attacking threat. We didn't have an out ball. We weren't sort of transitioning from the defensive third of the pitch to the attack. attacking third of the pitch well enough, whereas in this game, we really, really were, and it was a nice mix, and it was nice to see that there is going to be variety in what we do next season, and that kind of gives me confidence that we can adapt to different styles as well, and it won't just be, we already struggle to penetrate low blocks, but we're better against teams that have more of the ball and we sit off. It was a lovely, lovely balance, and we showed a lot of variety in our defending, and that is just something that's hugely positive moving forward for Thomas Frank, and a really nice foundation, like I said, to build around for extra players to come in. When we got a strong squad, we got lots of different profiles that can do different things in that defensive structure, and it gives me a lot more security as a Tottenham fan that when we have the ball, we're not going to be constantly exposed to massive transitions where we're leaving 40 yards of space for wingers and strikers to run in behind. And yeah, that was my favourite takeaway from this game, and that was absolutely lovely to see. The other thing was obviously set pieces. I mean, how much more of a threat did we look from set pieces? Finally, we're doing what teams have been doing to us for the longest time. Mickey van der Ven was getting on David Raya. He was making it a nuisance. Pedro Porro hit the post directly from the corner twice. Richarlison could have flung himself at one of the ones that hit the post, I think, to just score an open goal, but that didn't happen. Obviously, he was probably worried about the post hitting his head, whatever it was, right? But we looked like such a threat. We were making those runs. We were kind of clustering this area of the pitch, as you've seen Arsenal do so effectively for the past couple of years, and Brentford. Obviously Thomas Frank's former team, getting on these front post flick-ons, really making ourselves a threat. Arsenal looked like they didn't know how to deal with us from set pieces, and yet at the other end as well, looking so secure, fighting for the ball, really going and being dominant aerially. There were a couple of really nice ones from Romero and Van der Ven that they both cleared. There were a couple of times when Vicario, you might have seen him come at it and flap at it last season, but he was more confident in staying a little bit deeper and letting his defenders deal with it. It just looked a lot less panicky and a lot less frantic when we were defending set pieces. And again, that was something that caused us so many issues last season, and it's only pre-season, it's only one game, but clearly that is being worked upon. Thomas Frank has stressed in his interviews that is being worked upon, and set pieces are a huge part of football these days, a huge part of football. Look at the marginal gains that Arsenal have had being so dominant from set pieces in the Premier League over the past year or two, and to have that as something that we are majorly focusing on now, something that was such a weakness again for us over the past 2 years, that is a massively positive sign, 100%. And now I just kind of want to talk about individual performances, because that's always the best thing to see in pre-season, right, is those individuals performing to the level that they actually can. And I don't know why I've got a doggy in here, because a doggy has not even come on tour with us, has he? So let's get Spence in there, because he is absolutely one of those players that I wanted to talk about. But the one that I wanted to start off with was Pat Matasar, because how good was Pat Matasar today? How good? It was just, honestly, I've been saying for a while, you follow me on Twitter, if you watch my TikToks, if you watch my YouTube, you all know how much of a fan I am of this boy, and he has the potential to fly. He really does as a midfielder. You put him in this kind of structure where he's got people around him. He's got Bentancur, Romero, Porro, Bergvall, Kudus dropping deeper. He's got these players around him that he can keep it nice and simple in possession. He's never going to be somebody who can go and beat 3 men and evade the press. He's not hugely press resistant, but what he is good on the ball and has a ceiling to improve on the ball as well. And you saw that today, some nice give and goes when he actually has that space to run into, to gallop into as he does. His ball carrying ability is spectacular. He's got lovely ball striking from distance, as you saw today with his goal. A lovely finish, might have been a foul in the build up, but who cares? An outrageous goal, a really, really cheeky effort, which you just love to see. And he just looks like he's playing with confidence, and Pat Matasar playing with confidence. He's a scary footballer. He is. I really do believe that. And he's a young player with so much room to develop still. People forget he's only, 21, 22 years of age. And Declan Rice, Odegaard, Norgard, they had no time on the ball when they were drifting into those Pat Matasar areas of the pitch. And so often we saw with Sarr last season, he was sort of being played in this sort of weird number 10 role where he was pushing really high out of possession and quite high in possession as well. Wasn't really involved in the build-up, wasn't really involved deeper in the game. And I felt like that was kind of harming him. I didn't really feel like that was the correct role for him, but in that too, playing deeper today, he just looked a lot more secure and a lot more confident, and he was sort of dealing with everything that came his way, so dominant in his areas of the pitch. And any midfielder that sort of drifted into these areas, Pat Matasar was dominating. He really was. That was the kind of performance that we saw from him today, and that was lovely. I also thought Rodrigo Bentancur next to him was really good at cleaning up. When the second balls were coming, he was so often the first one there, keeping it nice and simple, nice and tidy in possession as well. And when we're talking about players that you want to bring in, we've talked a lot about it this pre-season. You want to bring in that deep line pass, that real line breaker, and that is a profile that we're still still missing in this squad. But these two keeping it nice and simple in possession, but also having that ability to sometimes break lines to make that more positive pass. Lucas Bergvall in here dropping in as well. He wasn't playing as a classic number 10 today, Lucas Bergvall, but he was definitely the highest of the three, the most progressive of the three, and I don't mind him in that position. I quite like him in that position, but I just thought Bentancur and Sarr in particular, of course, shone today. Really, really shone. The other thing that I thought was so positive, like just makes me so happy, was the technical level of our wingers, the security that they had on the ball, the ability to recycle possession, but also to go at their defenders one-on-one. I mean, Mohamed Kudus caused Lewis Skelly about as many issues as I've seen a winger cause Miles Lewis Skelly over the past year or so. He was excellent. You know, the physicality mixed with how well he protects the ball, his touches in tight areas. If he's got 2-3 men around him, I'm confident that he has the ability, the footwork to get out of those situations, and he's just scary running at players one-on-one, running into open spaces on the transition with the ball at his feet, and mix that with Odobert, a confident looking Odobert on the other side as well. I feel like this was the first performance where we really saw from him, maybe in a Tottenham shirt, maybe since that AZ game where he scored a couple in the last 16 in the Europa League last year, when you just saw him looking full of confidence, looking like a player who was in his favoured position on that left-hand side, given a bit of freedom to take on his man, had Jed Spence overlapping him at times, had that security of having Jed Spence and Bentancur mopping up behind him too, also working so hard defensively, but just going at Ben White relentlessly one-on-one, you know, drifting inside, those little 1-2s, those little touches on the edge of the area, linking up with players. That one, he had I think it was Richarlison maybe, where he little give and go, got the ball in the area, little step over to the byline, won himself a corner. Like, that's what you're going to get with Odobert. What we were missing out on last year with Sonny out there, what we were missing out with Brennan Johnson on the right hand side, and the technical level of those wingers, I think today really showed you kind of what we were missing out on at times last season with Odobert having those massive injury problems. And if he can stay injury free next season, he's going to have a big role to play on that left hand side. He really, really is, alongside Matisse Tell, alongside Sonny if he stays, which is looking more and more unlikely now, alongside Kudus, alongside Johnson on the right hand side. It's lovely to have those kind of profile wings in our squad and the ability to mix it up, because as we all know, Brennan Johnson is still going to have a huge impact for Spurs next season. You know, Matisse Tell is going to have a huge impact for Spurs next season, but those two together look just so exciting. So exciting. Jed Spence is somebody that I wanted to talk about too, of course. Now, he probably had the most difficult job out there today in terms of he was, you know, tasked with dealing with Bukayo Saka, Arsenal's biggest threat. Yes, Saka is still, he's not really working back from that injury anymore, but he's probably, you know, taking it a little bit slower in pre-season. But the amount of times that Saka tried to go at him one-on-one defensively today, and Jed Spence just shepherded him to the byline, you know, blocked the ball from going into the penalty area, blocked out for a corner, for a throw, and whatever it was, just really stuck to his task. And again, Jed Spence's physicality mixed with, I really think, a strong IQ as a fullback now, really knows when to sort of commit and when to go into the tackle, knows when to stand off a little bit more, knows when to shepherd the player down the line, knows when to allow a player to cut inside. It's real maturity in his defensive performances at the moment, which is impressing me. And what impressed me last season, especially during that Christmas period where he was so pivotal to us, and he's such a lovely option to have out there. Hopefully that Destiny Udogie injury is not serious. We're still yet to really get a firm update on that either way, but having Jed Spence as the option out there, having him as the option to cover Porro as well, is just lovely. It's really lovely fullback depth. Get him penned down to that new contract like there's been talk of over the past 24 hours or so, and we have one of the best backup fullbacks in the league. I really, really, really do believe that. Van de Ven and Romero, like I mentioned earlier, just found it. I just thought it was a bit of a stroll in the park for them today. I really, really did, and that may be, you know, reading into it too little, whatever, but I just felt like anything that came Romero's way, he was just, I mean, that little nutmeg that he had on Declan Rice in the first half just sent him flying. Nearly got Jed Spence injured, actually, because he sent Declan Rice flying into Jed Spence. That's how good the nutmeg was. But just thought he was so calm, so composed, dealt with everything. He loves that box defending element of defending. He loves the defensive element. He loves putting his head in front of something. He loves putting his foot in front of something, flying into those tackles, those blocks. And the maturity, once again, in his defensive performance today, alongside Mickey van der Ven, they complement each other so well. It's so much more of a structure and security for them, having those players around them, having the ability to sit in the low block, the mid block, press up high in the pitch as well. They're defenders that can do all of that. And that was really, really, really good to see, and I think everybody would have enjoyed seeing that today. Now, there's been rumours this afternoon of Kolo Muani being in talks with Tottenham Hotspur. It's been widely reported, and I don't think that comes as a surprise. I think, you know, it's obviously not consequential. You know, that's not a consequence of Richarlison's performance today, because it literally came out 10 minutes after half time. But I think seeing Richarlison's performance and given the injury issues that he's had over the past 3 years since he's joined Spurs, I think it's got to be time to move on. Like, I really thought he was just that slight yard off it, just didn't really have much of an impact. Wasn't really winning his physical duels, but also, doesn't have the pace to go and get in behind anymore. Doesn't have that element of sharpness right now to drop deeper, link up the play, to drift out wide, to have the impact that he's had in the past. And look, would it be the worst thing if we kept Richarlison as our backup 9 next season? No. Do we need to be ruthless though? Move him on. Get in somebody like a Kolo Muani. Get in another option who less injury prone, maybe a little bit younger, a little bit more dynamic, somebody who can have a bigger impact for us next season. I would say yes, and it's sad because I love Richarlison, and maybe he stays as a third choice striker. I really wouldn't mind that either, but yeah, it's kind of a little bit painful watching him right now. I've got to be completely honest, and I thought that was quite a tough watch at times, to be completely honest. But yeah, all of the substitutes that came on today as well, I thought did fine. I thought Danso and Davies, kind of slipped into those Van der Ven and Romero positions and did absolutely fine. The other players that came on, James Maddison, positive to see him back. Really happy about seeing him back. Sonny had a couple of decent runs. That little run he had down the left-hand side where he played the ball through to Tell, he did okay, and I think it's kind of telling that he's getting less minutes this pre-season, only 15 minutes today. I think, he is somebody that he'll probably start at the weekend and, fine, but I think there's clearly been an agreement for him to leave the club, and I think Thomas Frank is really wanting to see Odobert, Tell, the likes of those players ahead of him right now, and obviously that is completely fair enough, and I just hope that we get the chance to send Sonny off properly and we get one last game with him at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium potentially. I don't know what the situation will look like, but that is what I want. And yeah, it was good to see all the subs come on today. There are subs that came on. Brennan Johnson, did fine, did okay. Tell as well. We were sitting quite deep and defending our box at that point in the game anyway. But yeah, I think that's just massively positive for me. Like really, really positive. I was really pleased with the run out. I was really pleased with the performance from people. And people say, pre-season doesn't matter too much. But you'd rather be positive about it, and you'd rather be picking on the good elements and good performances rather than bad performances and just brushing it off like, pre-season doesn't matter. I think you would obviously way prefer to do that. And yeah, that's what I think we learned from the game today. I think I'm excited to see the Newcastle game at the weekend. Then we got the Bayern Munich game, and then we're into the Super Cup against PSG, which will obviously be the biggest test. And then we're into the season. So yeah, roll on the season, man. I'm excited. A great performance today. Hopefully the majority of these players get rested now against Newcastle, and we see a bit of a different team. Maybe some younger players against Newcastle, but it's always nice to win a North London derby, isn't it? And always nice to win a little trophy as well, which is just what we do really now, isn't it? So yeah, if you are new around here, if you enjoyed the video, please do like, please subscribe, all of that. Plenty more pre-season content coming over the course of the next couple of weeks and into the season, of course. All the content coming your way. So yeah, make sure you're subscribed with notifications on so that you don't miss out on any of that. And yeah, nice one. I'll see you in the next one.